Hey everyone, Jim Covington from Roto Wire here. We have our Week 15 live stream getting us ready for some DFS, some fantasy playoffs, some sports gambling. Early inactives we have here. Zeke Elliott's out. Tony Pollard immediately becomes a top 20 running back. He could go even better than that. Remember, the offensive line in Dallas is very, very bad right now, although the 49ers have really struggled against the run the last month or so. Morning, Kavan. All right, Scott, good. So Pollard's a good play this week. Again, I think Dallas will trail some. I think sometimes in a change of pace role, he's better than he would be in a lead role. We have to be careful about that. We can't just assume he's going to come in and play great. Zeke struggled behind this line. You can't expect a ton more. I think Pollard gets you 60 to 70 yards. There's a reasonable 40% chance of a touchdown. Get a few catches probably. So definitely RB2. Gurley or Lynn Bowden. Here's my problem with Bowden. Everybody's out for Miami. Gesicki's out. Parker's out. Grant's out. Don't think Bill Belichick didn't see Lynn Bowden last week. So that's the only guy he has to worry about. He has nobody else to worry about. Lynn Bowden would probably be taken out of this game easily. It wouldn't take much for Bill Belichick to take him away. He could put one player on him and be done with him for the day. So Lynn Bowden has a downside of 2. He has a little upside, maybe. They use him as a runner, a passer, a receiver last week. Something there. But Gurley ain't going to be able to run the ball against Tampa Bay. 3 yards a carry. And I don't think he gets that this week. This week he's probably closer to 2. They don't get in the red zone a lot. He has a chance to score. If it's PPR, I guess it's Bowden. But again, I think Bowden has real low downside this week because if he was like a 4th target, beautiful. Carson or Drake. I love Carson. Both outside linebackers are out for what's wrong with me here? Washington football team. Both outside linebackers are out. So they use him as a receiver. They use him out to the edges. Really helps against the run. I see Washington's front 4 is better against the pass and the pass rush than they are against the run. So I think the linebackers really help in run support. So I think it's a great game for Carson here. Drake, Philly's really good against the run still. They have both corners out, a free safety out. So honestly, I expect fully that the passing game for the Cardinals was off today. Drake, I think, does decently. Drake, I don't want to say Drake has more floor here. I think that Carson's the better play here. Carson has upside. Carson's been used as a receiver. Drake lately a little more. I think it's a Carson game. It's close. If you have a gut, I'm going to say this all day today. If you have a gut feel, go with it. Personally, those linebackers out. Carson's in a great spot. Komet or Jonnu Smith. Komet's seen 7 targets 2 straight weeks. Minnesota's not good against tight ends. Jonnu might see 0 targets. He's become more of a blocker. Since they're down to the 3rd string tackle, Sambrolio's been out and they lost Luan. He's been blocking a lot. So his floor is 0. I think Komet, those 7 targets are real. I think he sees something close to that again. So I think Komet's a safer play. I can't say Komet has upside at this point, but at this point, has Jonnu Smith had upside since week 3? Maybe not, right? Week 4 or 5, I think that is, because week 6 is when they lost Luan to the injury. So honestly, Komet's safer. Jonnu could do something. It'd stun me if he did at this point because he really hasn't. So that's a tough one. Delaney for the win. I like it. PPR. Fournette, Wilson, David Johnson. With Duke Johnson out, David Johnson, to me, should see 15 touches in this game. Indy has completely fallen off against the run. They were really good earlier in the season. Right now, not so much. So he'll run some, but the thing I like here is with Duke out, I would expect David Johnson to get 5 targets here. PPR, that makes it even better for you. Wilson's a really good play. I mean, he splits the carries equally the last couple of weeks with Raheem Mostert, and the matchup is really good. Wilson could go off here. He's played fairly well since coming back from the injury. I put Fournette out. Keyshawn Vaughn's supposed to be involved, and LaShawn McCoy's supposed to be involved, and I believe it. We had the beat writer on Sirius on Friday from Tampa Bay, and he talked about that, and I kind of got that confirmed today. So Fournette, I don't think so. Between Wilson and David Johnson, I think David Johnson has the clearer path to work. I think the matchup is not as bad as we think it is. Is either safe, moderate floors for each. You know what? Wilson has multi-touchdown upside. You got that going for you. I think David Johnson's safer for his role in the offense because if Mostert gets hot, Wilson could go to a minor role. So I think Johnson's safer. Wilson has more floor. So I would utilize that when making your lineup decision. But if you want 10, 12 points, I think David Johnson's your man. If you got to shoot for 20, 25, you have to hope Wilson gets in the end zone twice. That could be there. I think that's what you got to look at. Ebron or Chark? Well, Ebron's had been seeing 11 targets in a couple straight games. That fell. Matchup's not bad. Let me just check. Since he gets a tight end, I think they're middle of the pack. Let me just see what I got for them. Well, the fifth fewest points against they're 10th most. So they've allowed the 10th most fantasy points to the tight end. They're dinking and dunking. They're throwing the ball. Deontay's had some drops. Austin, I'll be with you in a second, man. So as I look, Chark's getting a lot of targets, but nothing. But here's what I like about Chark this week. Marcus Peters missed practice all week with a calf injury. I haven't seen the inactive for that one yet. I'm still hoping if somebody sees that, let me know. I don't think he's near healthy. Jimmy Smith's out. I know he's a rotational corner, but still, they need him today. I think Chark's in a good spot because Marlon Humphrey typically plays a slot. He goes to the outside. I think Chark matches up well with him. I do. So here's what I'm going to say. Here's my standard answer. Ebron is a better floor play. He will get you 5 to 10 points. Chark could have a bust. But I see Chark, this could be a game. They're going to be chasing. Chark could get you 20 points today. I don't think Ebron has that upside. So you got to look at your matchup and see what you need. But Chark's matchup is pristine because of those cornerback injuries. Robert, all right, man. Jalen Hurts or Rivers? Yes. Well, Jonathan Taylor, see, the last time, and after this question, I'm coming to Austin, and I'm coming to controversial. Guys, give me just a second here. Got to go between these two streams here. Peters inactive. Yeah, so that's huge for Chark. All right, so Robert, here's what I'm thinking. Last time Houston and Indy played 2 weeks ago, Jonathan Taylor had 9 rushing attempts. I think it's a different scenario here. Houston's bottom 4 against the run. They're absolutely atrocious. I think they lean on the run today. I think Jonathan Taylor goes absolutely off. I don't think Rivers has to throw a lot. Jalen Hurts, what I like is he runs. And right there, 50, 60 yards on the ground, maybe more. They're designed runs, which I would think is beautiful. Jalen Hurts, I think, is safer. Could Rivers have upside? Yes, we've seen him throw 3 touchdowns in a game. It's possible that Taylor doesn't do well, but I don't think that's the case here. So I think Hurts has a great floor. I think he does have upside, but I don't think the Rivers matchup is as great as we think it is. If you have a gut feel on this, go with it. I like Jalen Hurts' rushing floor here. That's what makes it good for me. All right, Austin, let's see what you got here. Half PPR, start 1. Swift, Dobbins, Woods, Hilton. Wow, yeah, you're in a quagmire. You got good options here. All right, well, Mark Ingram, is inactive. Not that meant much. He had 1 snap last week. But Dobbins saw 63% snap share in 2 of the last 3 games he's played. I expect more of the same. He's facing a bottom feeder run defense. He's one of those 4 defenses we target every week. I think Dobbins is in a phenomenal spot. They should play this game with a lead against Jacksonville, which means he really could get leaned on late. I think Dobbins has a great blend of floor and ceiling. I know Gus Edwards is in there, and I know Lamar Jackson takes red zone carries. I get all that. But I really think based on matchup and probability, I think Dobbins is your safest and best spot. Woods been a great matchup, but if they get up early, they may just run the ball all day. Hilton, like I said, if Jonathan Taylor runs hot, then that could be problematic. Swift, they split a little bit. They're going to be trailing. He doesn't always get the targets you want him to get. I think Dobbins is your safe play here, and I think he has upside as well. And let's get controversial here. Pick 2. P.Y., David Johnson, Antonio Brown, Manny Sanders, Jarvis Landry. Love Jarvis Landry. 3 of the top 4 corners, I believe. It's at least 2 of them are down for the New York Giants. He plays a slot anyway. But this is a really beautiful matchup, I think, for Jarvis Landry. And even when they don't throw a lot, he gets a good chunk of those targets. So I think Jarvis Landry is an outstanding play this week. David Johnson, I love the floor because Duke Johnson's out. He should get some targets in addition to the rushing attempts. Nobody's going to steal work from him. Buddy Howell's not stealing work. And again, with T.Y., I worry about Jonathan Taylor going off this week. T.Y.'s had an enormous history against Houston. There's only been like 1 or 2 games where he hasn't gone off on them, and this goes back 3-4 years. You have a gut feel on that, go with it. Brown's targets are too inconsistent. Manny Sanders, although I like him, I like Landry better. Manny Sanders is in a good spot. I don't know that it's a smash spot. I would go with Johnson and Landry. I believe the floor and the target volume and the touches are there. All right, so I got Robert there. Peter's inactive. Johnny Football with his joke. I like this. Derrick Henry, your entire Lions rushing offense. Derrick Henry's prop is 125, and I'm not blinking here. I can't. Yeah, anything happen, right? We know it's the NFL. I don't know how he doesn't get 160 yards against this offense. They're terrible. And I know it wasn't your question. I love Derrick Henry on the prop this week. I bet that one up in a parlay. See Nick's here. Thanks for coming, Nick. Mingo. I see Mingo's here. See Randy's here. All right, guys, good to see you. I'll catch another name in a minute. I can't so I can blot it out here on me. Would I play Chark over Hanson and Lamb? Well, see, here's the thing with Hanson that I'm thinking. Hanson's had 2 decent games. He went off on Indy 2 weeks ago. But you see, Indy knows who he is now. They didn't know who the hell he was 2 weeks ago. Chad Hanson, 5 teams, and all of a sudden he gets 100 yards. Well, they know who he is now. He can't smoke and mirrors his way through this one. Maybe he's really good, but he's bounced around 5 teams and never done anything. So I think the Colts see him. Oh, he does this, he does that. Done. That's what I think. Maybe I'm wrong. It's possible the kid's really good, but I can't take that chance in fantasy playoffs. Lamb, I like it. In the slot, the slot's the best place to attack San Francisco because, Verrett and Sherman are decent on the outsides. So there's some definite. So Lamb, to me, should have some safety in the slot because I think those outside corners make it tough for Dalton to throw. So I think we look at that. And then I think Chark has your upside. I talked about this earlier. I think if you need 20 points, I think Chark's your guy. If you need to make sure you lock in 8 points, maybe 10, I think Lamb's your guy because Chark has the outside. Because we don't know if Minshew's going to miss him all day. So I think that's the way you look. Randy, give me a minute. Go over to YouTube here. Roman, Pollard, or Dobbins? Yeah, honestly, I like Dobbins this game because they're playing Jacksonville. Now, the last 4 or 5 weeks, San Francisco has been a bad defense, but they're not as bad as Jacksonville. And I know Dobbins will split some work. I know Gus Edwards will get in there and Lamar Jackson will run some. But they should play this game with a lead. So I think you're going to go with Dobbins there because I think he has some real upside here. Pollard, it's real nice when you're going to change a pace roll. You can do some really good things and the defense, doesn't see you coming. They don't have a good line. Zeke's been bad behind it. And I think it's the same here. I think that we have to be concerned. And Dallas probably trails in this game. So I think game script works toward Dobbins. Randy, I got a couple more YouTube ones here I got to answer. All right. And Lucius, all right. Glad you're here. Hilton, Godwin, or Thielen? If Dalvin Cook goes off, then Thielen doesn't see a lot of targets. We know that becomes problematic. But Thielen has, he's an elite receiver. We know he's an elite receiver. He can have a huge game. Hilton, my concern this week, now he's gone off against Houston for years and years, only a couple games out of like the 6 or 8 he's played that he hasn't gone absolutely off. But I really think Jonathan Taylor goes ballistic here, and I don't know how much they need to lean on him this week. So Hilton has more risk than we think. And remember, he's only at 2 games and a quarter of good production in a whole season of not. So we got to be concerned there. Godwin, this is a great matchup for him. It's just they split those targets, no rhyme or reason between the receivers. And Atlanta has no corners to stop anybody, so we don't know the target. So all these players, they're very concerned, and there's no definitive thing that tells me this guy's getting the targets. So I would say, actually, out of these guys, the safest guy is Godwin because Godwin probably has a 6-floor target. 6-target floor, And so I think that makes him the safest. I think Thielen has your highest upside. He scored 2 touchdowns against the Bears the last time. They're at home. But now, again, if Dalvin Cook goes off, so that's the problem with all these players. But if Godwin's your safest, I think Thielen has the most upside. Hilton's a wild card because, again, I think they run. Roman, both of them can get rid of TY. Who's in the flex now? I'm lost on that one, man. Pollard, no, I go with Dobbins. I definitely say Dobbins because I'm worried about Jonathan Taylor. Garrett, I'm going to get you in a couple minutes. I got some questions over here. All right. Randy, all right, man. And I see Sean's here. All right, guys, good to see you both. Which running back in flex and standard out of David Johnson, the Steelers running backs? Ouch. Salvan Ahmed, Jalen Reagor, Traquan Smith. All right, David Johnson's an auto for me because, again, with Duke Johnson now, he should get targets and he should also get rushing attempts. So I like that. Ahmed, he's back in the mix. It's Breida in there. We don't think you'll see much of him. At least Gaskin's out, so that's a good thing. I don't think we'll see much of Patrick Laird. So actually, the more I think about Ahmed, the matchup is not oppressive against New England. I think it's a lower scoring game, but I do think they probably try to make Tua beat them, which means they probably are more likely to load up against the run. Here's what I'll say: the Steelers don't run; they just don't run the football. And so that rules me out on them, even though they're playing Cincinnati. They just don't give anybody any rushing attempts. So David Johnson's in. I'm going to say Ahmed for floor. He should get you a minimum of 6 to 9 points. So you should be very safe there. If you need to swing for the fence, I'm not going Traquan. I'm worried about Drew Brees here. I think the upside play is Jalen Reagor. Ahmed is much, much, much safer. Rager is going to need a big play to come through for you. So Johnson, and I probably would go with that safety of Ahmed again, unless you need to swing for the fence. Then that gets me Reagor. Sean, DFS, Henry, yes, I'm playing him. Yes, 9,500, but this is the worst run defense we have. 200 yards is easily on the board, and I don't know how they has to really break a sweat to get that. Pollard, you know what? Post Pollard's salary in here, I'm hoping it's DK. I didn't plan on him playing, so I didn't look up his price. Post the price on him. If he's over 5,000, though, I don't think so. But we'll take a look here. Johnny, I'll be back with you in a second. All right, so Garrett. All right, standard league. Do you flex Jefferson, Swift, or Dobbins? So Dobbins is your safest play. You want a money 10 to 14 points, Dobbins is in. If you need 25 points, because there's weeks where Jefferson gets 3 or 4 targets and he doesn't come through. Jefferson has that massive upside. I don't think Dobbins has that. So that's what I would say. You got to base it on your needs. You need to get those safe, solid, strong points at Dobbins. Otherwise, that's shoot for the stars. It's Jefferson. Because, again, if Dalvin Cook goes off, they may not have to throw it a lot. And Mahomes, do you go Trubisky or Stafford? Oh, man. So, look, Mike Zimmer's defense is going to really confuse Trubisky. I don't see Trubisky doing much here. I'm worried about Stafford because the ribs are bad. At least he has TJ in the middle of the field. He has Amendola. He has Swift out of the backfield. They're going to trail most likely. So, you know what? I think Trubisky is in for a floor game here because, again, Zimmer's defense is going to confuse him. So I'm going to say Stafford, although I'm nervous about both, and obviously you are as well. Bobby, should you trade Thielen and Woods for Ridley, full point and redraft? So I guess this will be for the next couple of weeks. If you're starting Thielen and Woods, and you need that both of your starting line, no, don't lose a starter for a guy that's worse. But if you're only starting Thielen or Woods, then you make the trade because you have an improved starting lineup, and you would make that trade. All right, Tony Pollard or Michael Pittman with Zeke inactive, right. You know what? Pittman's targets have gone through the crapper in the last few weeks. It's all of a sudden TY became 2017 TY again. There's no reason I can see Pittman's targets going up. It would be very, very, out of what they've done for that to happen. So here's what I have to say. It's got to be Pollard because I can't trust Pittman right now. Love Pittman as a player. Can't trust him. Got to be Pollard, and it's not close for me. Could Pittman get an 80-yard touchdown? Yes, but this is not setting up well for him. Hanson or Cole? Keelan Cole runs the slot. I don't know if they're going to move Marlon Humphrey to the outside. Marlon Humphrey is typically their slot corner. Peters is out. Jimmy Smith is like a backup, but he's out. If they move Humphrey to the outside, this is where it's a tough call. That's where it's very tough. But you know what? Again, Keelan Cole has been on and off. Hanson, like I said earlier, Indy's seen him. He can't smoke and mirror his way now. So if they know what he does, I think they stop him. He's been on 5 teams. To me, that tells me, he could do something, but he's probably not. He's probably a bounce-around NFL player. So Keelan Cole, on and off, he's had more good games than bad. I think I go Keelan Cole. They're going to trail. They're going to have to throw. He's been reliable with Minshew. So tough call. But I think it's Cole. Here. And I think Hanson also benefited in that last game because Cooks missed over a quarter of that game, get checked out for a concussion. So I think part of that we got to consider as well. Coach Dish, Landry, Goldman, or Pollard. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Landry, I think, is your safest play because there's a lot of injuries in the secondary for the Giants, and Landry does get a good target volume. So I think Landry's your safest play. I don't even know how much upside Pollard has because he's going to get touches, but they're going to probably trail. I still think Pollard has a better chance of scoring a touchdown than Landry. And Pollard, regardless of game script, will be involved. So I'm going to say Pollard has more upside here. You know what? I'm gonna waffle on this one. I think Pollard actually has a higher floor than Landry because if Chubb and Goldman go up and they get a lead, they may throw it about 14 to 20 times. And that's happened earlier this season. So if that happens, Landry might get 6 targets, and we don't know what he'll do with those. So you know what? I'm going to say Pollard. I don't like Goldman in this matchup. Cleveland's been actually good against the run. I know they played the Ravens last week. I get it. It was crazy, but they've been good. So I'm going to say Pollard there. It's a great call. All right, let's see who else we got here. Whoops, screw something up here. All right, let's get back here now. All right, let's see who we got here. Went through that one. Went through Bobby already. You should have D-Hop and Jefferson. So you should trade for Thielen and Woods. So you have D-Hop, then you make that trade. You have a dynamic trio. You got to go that route. Ayuk or Thielen PPR. So the 3 games that Debo's been out, including last week when he played 1 snap or 3 snaps, whatever it was in 1 touch, Ayuk gets like 12 plus targets. And so he is like their absolute alpha. Whereas Thielen will have game where he gets 4 targets, games where he gets 12 targets. So Ayuk has a much higher floor than Thielen, and he has a comparable ceiling as they both can go off. So I think based on that you have the safety. Can Thielen outscore him? Sure. But I think Ayuk is much safer, a beautiful matchup. You know they're getting him the ball. They scheme him open. Not that Dallas can stop him anyway. So to me, Ayuk with the safety is the play. If Dalvin Cook goes off, Thielen will be a non-factor, which can happen. They were at home. Last time the Bears slowed them down pretty good in Chicago. Different ball game playing on the carpet at home. All right, let's see what else we got here. Kashif. All right, I'm glad you're here, man. Ridley versus the Bucs, A-Rob versus Minnesota. So typically, most games since late last year, when Trubisky as that quarterback, typically Robinson gets double-digit targets. Now, a few weeks ago when they played Minnesota, Foles was in, and they blitzed him, and he couldn't move, and Robinson had a good first half, and he just completely disappeared in the second half. I do expect, although Trubisky's going to struggle, I expect him to get his 10-plus targets. Now, Ridley's Ridley. You know, they're both great players, okay? And what I'm going to see, though, is the Bucs played better last week. Out of their bye, as I expected. Their pass rush looked better. That means their pass defense is better. Julio's out. I would think they would double him. If they double him, it does lower his ceiling a bit. But that said, A-Rob has a higher floor. A-Rob should get you 7 for 70. He should get you that minimum. I do think Ridley, though, has a higher upside because Ridley is a player, and Ryan is better, obviously, way better quarterback than Mitch. So I think there's more upside. If that game shoots out, Ridley could see 15 targets. So I think you say this. You want your safe, bankable 12 to 15 fantasy points. I think you're going A-Rob. If you've got to get a 25 this week, A-Rob probably doesn't have that in him. So I think at that point, you look at your matchup and you say, I need to go Ridley because I need that boost. All right, see who else we got here. All right. Did I miss anybody? Oh, look at it. I missed some questions here. I got that one. Scott, thoughts on Tyreek this week? So here are my thoughts on that game. So Malcolm Jenkins is an elite coverage safety against tight ends. And that's why the Saints have allowed the fewest points to tight ends. They're going to slow Kelsey down. Oh, Kelsey's going to get 70 yards, but Kelsey's not likely going for his 120 and a touchdown or two. This is not likely a great Travis Kelsey game. You're playing him in fantasy, certainly. You never sit him. That's not the question. But the Saints are lights out against tight ends because of Malcolm Jenkins. Now, what does that do? Well, that gives them the flexibility to take Marshawn Lattimore and a safety and put them on Hill. And they'll say, all right, Sammy Watkins, Demarcus Robinson, running backs, go ahead and beat us. I think they're going to take their chance there. Could I be wrong? Yes, could be wrong. But I think that they have the personnel to slow Kelsey and to slow Hill. They're both going to produce something. They're not going to be nothings. But I think that Tyreek is the better play because here's the thing. Tyreek's speed is legendary. And so they double him. He may still get over the top. He may still outrun double coverage. So I think he ultimately is a better play than Kelsey. And I think he has more ceiling. They both do have some floor in this game, though. I do think that. All right, Dobbins, Montgomery, or Akers. Montgomery was the product of a perfect 3-week schedule when he played 3 of the 4. We have 4 run defenses we attack every week in fantasy. Montgomery just played 3 of them. He didn't have his snap share went down. He used to play 85. He's playing like 70, 75. That's dropped. Now he plays Minnesota. They're not great, but they're middle of the pack. He doesn't have the Packers or the Texans or the Lions. So now I think Montgomery is back to being a bum. He'll get 40, 50 yards. I think that's it. Got the under on him in a prop bet this week. Akers. I like Akers because the Jets have been better against the run than against the pass, but they should have a big lead. He should get 25 carries in this game, and that's more than Dobbins likely gets. So I think Akers has a higher floor, and I think because of the potential of them winning this game, and they showed in that game when they blew out the Patriots, they gave Akers carries late, and that meant a lot to me. They didn't bench him in garbage time. They left him in. So I'm going with Akers there. All right, Randy. You need a running back and a flex out of Gus, Jeff Wilson, Juju, Antonio Brown. Juju's been hot lately. They play that dink and dunk offense, and he's the slot guy, and he's been reliable as Deontay has not been reliable. So I think you're looking at Juju being a strong player. Antonio Brown, the one thing I like is he plays on the right side frequently, and the Marquise Denner, not that any of the corners in Atlanta are good, but he's out. And so that adds to his matchup a bit, which is a positive thing. So that helps, but I don't know what target volume is because you got Godwin, you got Evans, you got Gronk, and sometimes they cannibalize each other there. Jeff Wilson is going to split carries with Mostert, but the matchup is beautiful. And if they get a lead, I know that Mostert's not 100%, so he could kick in and have more volume here. Gus needs touchdowns. I really think Dobbins is emerging as the lead guy here. So if I'm going this route, Juju has been very safe, and he's found the end zone recently, and his matchup is beautiful, so I like that. And I think it's my second one. I think I'm trusting Jeff Wilson there for floor. Now, and he has ceiling too because he can score multiple touchdowns. I'm just worried about Brown's target volume. It's unreliable. All right, let me go back over here. I got Trey S. All right, morning, man. Full PPR, choose two, Deontay, Cooks, Woods, or Swift. Yes, good luck to you as well. So here, let's break this one down a little bit. So Deontay had a case of the drops last week, and it hasn't been uncommon lately. He's been dropping the ball more than not. He got benched for over a quarter of that game. So I'm very nervous in that dink and dunk offense that he's not going to see that target volume that we've counted on, and he hasn't done a ton with it lately either. Cooks missed a quarter of the last game against the Colts 2 weeks ago. He was on his way to a decent game. I think he has a very, very strong floor for you. Woods also has a strong floor, but if they get out 17-0 or so early in this game, they may not need to throw a whole lot. So Woods has a baseline. I think he's the preferred receiver here based on the matchups. But again, he may not have a huge ceiling because if they get that big lead, they may run a lot. And then Swift, I wish his workload is more stable. I do think that they're going to trail heavily, but I think Derrick Henry running the ball is going to shorten the game. I do think Swift sees a minimum of 5 targets here. Stafford with the ribs is going to need to get the ball out quick, which means tight end, slot receiver, running back. So I do think Swift has a good floor. So if I'm playing this, and I think, all right, so here are my thoughts here. So if you need the best blend of floor and upside is Brandon Cooks. He's your best blend. Of the two who are remaining, I think Swift has floor and upside. I'm just going to say those two. I like Woods, but I think they're going to get out to a big lead here, and I think that's problematic. Cooks and Swift, because their role in the offense should work out with likely game flow. And then kicks for Mike. Standard, Ayuk or Scary Terry. Oh, flex Miles. All right, so Ayuk has been getting double-digit targets when Debo misses time. It's like a 3-game running thing, and they feature him in the offense. So he has a safe floor and a good ceiling. Scary Terry, I like with Haskins back. He was productive. But here's the thing. There are not many players Seattle has to worry about, so they could make him a focus. So I think that Ayuk is much, much safer, higher floor, similar ceiling. That's why I go that route. I think Terry could have a really, really good game today. But I know there's more downside than there is with Ayuk. And I think in the fantasy playoffs, that's what I need to look at. And then King Jonathan, James Robinson, or Cam Akers. You know what? Cam Akers should have a positive game script here. I know Robinson. Now, Robinson's snap share has gone down a little bit, and I wish I could have a second reference. It's gone down a little bit from the crazy levels that it was earlier. I'm trying to look this up on my notes here. So, yes. So his snap share had been in the 80s and 90s. And in the last 4 games, he had a 71 and a 56. That's getting me nervous. They're mixing other guys in. So I'm going to say Akers here because Akers has dominated snaps last week, and I think that picks up here, and I think the game script is positive. And then Miles or Swift. Okay, Swift has a higher floor because he is going to be involved, but I think Miles Sanders has a higher ceiling. I mentioned this last week. I said that with a mobile quarterback like Hurts, it opens up abnormal running lanes, which are great because over pursuit happens defensively, and I think that is what Miles Sanders needed, and then he broke that long touchdown. He got a second touchdown. I think that was a product of that, and I see that continuing here. So again, Swift is a safer floor. If you need that 20-point ceiling, I think Sanders has the ceiling. There is floor if those holes don't open up. That's the way I look here. All right, let's see what else we got here. Robert, you got the Browns or the Pats defense. You know what? No Gesicki, no Devontae Parker, no Jakeem Grant. And Belichick, isn't that? I think Tua's not a problem for him. I think he's going to make Tua very confused. I'm going to say Patzer. I think Tua makes a couple big mistakes today. The Browns, it's a nice matchup, but their secondary's bad. They have a pass rush, which helps. That certainly does. But I'm going to go with the Patzer. I think that's what I would say here. All right, Pats for floor. All right, Pats for floor. If you need 15 points here, defense, Pats aren't getting that. There's a world where the Browns get a pick six, and that could work. But I think the Pats are your safe for 7, 8 points. That's what I would say on that one. All right, see what else we got here. Kevon, yes, I would definitely start Hockenson over Andrews. Hockenson's targets have been through the roof. Wonder if I have a second to reference them here, actually. But it's been at least here. So, yeah, it's been 7, 8, 9, 11 the last 4 weeks. And with Stafford having ribs injuries, I think getting the ball to the tight end is going to be paramount here. So I think that is something that's really important. And Andrews all over the board, but mostly down lately. They've become a run-heavy team, and they're not looking to throw. And Andrews in the red zone was non-existent last week when they were down there forever and all day. Hockenson safer, and Hockenson has similar upside. I think. Yeah, prop bets. Here we go. I have Derrick Henry over 125 yards. I think he beats that by 50. Jonathan Taylor over 72.5 yards. He should go off here. Cam Akers over 68.5. And I like DeAndre Hopkins over 87.5. Both cornerbacks and the free safety are out for Arizona. So I think he gets back on track. Those are the 4 best props I see this week. All right, let's see here. Dwayne Williams, good to see you, man. Bowden or Amendola? You know what? No Parker, no Gesicki, no Jakeem Grant. Bill Belichick will not be surprised by Bowden. He saw him from last week when he watched the tape, which he did because that's what Bill Belichick does. It's very easy to take away a player when he doesn't have other options to worry about. I don't think Bowden has much ceiling here. I think Bill takes him out of the game. Amendola is going to be very important here. Stafford has broken ribs or bruised ribs or whatever he's dealing with that he almost didn't play. Getting the ball out so he doesn't get hit is going to be huge. So I think they throw to the running back, Swift. They throw to Hawk. They throw to Amendola in the slot. And I think that it's a good Amendola game. Amendola has a really good floor, in my opinion, here. Austin, all right, man. Start 2, Swift, Fournette, Pollard, sit Fournette. Got this from the Tampa beat writer on the Sirius show on Friday. And I got to confirm today, we're going to see a lot of Keyshawn Vaughn. We're going to see a lot of LaShawn McCoy on third downs. So Fournette, not only is it a bad matchup, Atlanta allows the second fewest fantasy points to running backs over the last 5 weeks. And they've been on fire for 7. So you got to sit Fournette there. Cole Kids, all right. Adam Thielen, Robert Woods, Justin Jefferson, Al Robinson, pick 2. Oh, man. So your problem with the Vikings, guys, they have immense ceiling, both of them. Which one goes off? If Dalvin Cook goes off, then neither of them get many targets, and it's going to be a matter of which one. So here's what I'm going to say. Kyle Fuller plays a lot of right cornerback, and that's where Thielen lines up. Jalen Johnson, who is limited, and I did not see the injury report. He's active or inactive, but regardless, he's less than 100%. So Justin Jefferson, who typically plays a lot of right, that's going to draw the rookie. And I think Jalen Johnson, if he even plays, again, I didn't see the inactive. It came out after I started this stream. So I'm going to say Jefferson's your one play. And then I think Allen Robinson, you know what? He gets at nearly double-digit targets in most games with Trubisky. And so I'm going to go with him as well. The only thing I don't like about Robert Woods is they could race out to a huge lead and fall on the run and not need to throw. So that's my concern there. And those are the 2 I'm going with there. Let me see here. Scott, do I believe Jeff Wilson a better play than Lynn? Yes, 100%. Jeff Wilson, the last 2 weeks, has seen at least half the work with Mostert in, and Mostert's dinged up this week. So if they get out to a lead, they could easily rest Mostert. This is an easy matchup for them. That run scheme should have no problem. Even if Wilson gets 10 carries, he's a good play. I do believe that Bill Belichick has no problem taking Bowden out of the game because, again, they're missing their top 3 receiving options. If he becomes number 1, I don't think he has J.C. Jackson, Gilmore. You can trick play them all you want, but I just don't think we can count on that. I think Tua's in a lot of trouble today. All right, let's see what else we got here. We got a bunch to YouTube. I'm coming back in a minute. Not forgetting you guys. Randy, would I consider Ahmed over David Johnson if you have watched it? No, not really. I think there's a low-scoring game. I could see this game ending up 16-13. I don't know there are many touchdowns here. I don't think that New England has any. I think New England, personally, And Bill Belichick attacks your weakness. I think he says, Tua, go ahead and beat me. You got no receivers. You're not going to run on me. I'm going to put you in passing downs so we can pick you off and make you miserable. So I think that Ahmed, replace. I mean, I'm not saying replace. He's probably going to be a good player because he was like the late round rookie. So he may be good, but I think in this game, I think Bill's going to make them beat them with the pass. I think they take him out. David Johnson's going to have to play almost every down. Buddy Howell's not a threat to anything. And David Johnson has scored some touchdowns, and he's been used some as a receiver. They're going to need him more as a receiver today. I'm going to say David Johnson here. That'd be my choice there. And then the player thing, I think they correlate fine because Johnson can catch the ball. And without Duke Johnson, who's seen some targets, I think that correlates well. All right. Let's see here. Johnny Football, Ahmed, Pollard, McKissick. Sit McKissick. I don't trust McKissick with Dwayne Haskins at quarterback. Love McKissick when Alex Smith is a quarterback, but don't really trust him with Haskins. So I think Ahmed and Pollard, and I just talked about Ahmed, but I think that Ahmed is McKissick's. I think Peyton Barber's going to have a role. I think Peyton Barber's going to probably get 12 carries today, and McKissick be more used as a receiver with Haskins. I think that minimizes him. So I would probably lean Ahmed and Pollard. If you got a gut feel, go with it, man. Mingo, give me a minute. Go back to YouTube for a minute here. All right, let's see here. Hugo, you got Kupp or Carson at flex. I think there's a great chance that the Rams jump out to a big lead here and they don't need to throw a lot. So I think the targets for Kupp could be very low, and they've been very low in a bunch of late games. I think Carson's in a great spot here. Washington football team's without both outside linebackers, and I think that's a big part of their run defense. And also Carson sees targets. So I think Carson's a better play this week. I think he has more floor, and I think he has equivalent upside here. So I think the floor that Carson has makes him useful. I'm not worried about Hyde. Hyde last week got a lot of those carries, and that game was out of hand. Carson was really the main back early in that game. Jason, all right. You got Juju, Deontay, or T.Y. pick two. Deontay got benched for over a quarter last week for dropping the ball, and it's been a recent problem for him. Big plays aren't there. He gets a lot of screens at the line, and that's it. Juju's been hot. T.Y., I still think Jonathan Taylor runs heavy on them, but I think T.Y. does more than Deontay, and I don't want to go with two Steelers here. I know they throw a ton, but Deontay, like I said, he lost time to James Washington. James Washington's becoming more trusted than Deontay. We saw that last week. That makes me nervous enough to pull Deontay. I loved his targets up till that point, and that was it there. Mingo, you got Akers or Hunt in the PPR. You know what? Akers is probably a lock for 20-plus touches, and I can't say that about Hunt. And Akers had targets. He hadn't seen targets all year. 3 last week, and he caught them all. Akers has the floor and the upside advantage on Hunt, so that's why I have to roll with him there. Robert, Kmet has a target, but I said, yeah, they're playing Arizona. This game likely shoots out. Arizona is facing a Philly defense that's missing both corners and a safety, so they're going to score points. And Goddard seemed to have at least he got targeted. I think it was 6 times last week. So, yeah, I started Goddard over Kmet. Kmet, he hasn't arrived. He's had targets. He's done a little bit with him. He did find the end zone once. I think I go Goddard there. They both have floor. Any tight end has floor. Any tight end can come out and do a 0 on us. And Goddard could do that. But I think they're going to have to throw. And I think Goddard being in the middle of the field, and we saw last week 6 targets. So I think we got to go with Goddard there. I think that's the way we have to look at it. Hopefully I didn't lose some here. Let me see here. No, we got that here. All right. Kendrick Bourne or Cole. Kendrick Bourne had seen like 5 or 7 targets in almost every game he's played, like for the last month and a half. And that was whether Debo was in or out. And I know Richie James can be involved here. Kendrick Bourne has a floor. But I don't know that Kendrick Bourne has a ceiling. So if I want 6, 8, maybe 10 locked in points, I think Kendrick Bourne is your guy. If you need 15, 18, Cole has a chance for that, but Cole has a floor. So I think Bourne is your safe play. Cole is if you need a little bit of upside, a little kick here. All right, back to YouTube here. Let's see. Moneybags, Watson or Hurts? It was an interesting game against the Colts a couple weeks back. 2 points scored in the entire second half. But Brandon Cooks missed a large chunk of that game. You know what? Deshaun Watson, he will run when he needs to these days. And at the end of the day, he gives you some running upside, not Jalen Hurts running upside, but he's going to be the centerpiece of the offense. I do think Hurts is in a shootout, but we don't know what Hurts is as a passer yet. Put it this way. Hurts has more floor because he could run for 70 yards without a problem. They designed him runs. That's huge. he has a higher floor. I don't think he has Watson's ceiling. Watson could put up 25, 30 points if the game shoots out. So I think you got to base it on that. You want 15 locked in points for your quarterback. I think that's Hurts. You need to get to 25 because you have to make sure that you nail this thing down. I think Watson. And it's really tough to sit Watson here. It's very tough to sit Watson because the level of player that he is. And again, Hurts has a lot of unknown. I think it was a lesser option. I might say Hurts. I think that if Watson goes off on your bench, you're going to kick yourself all off season. I think you got to go with Watson there because his floor is really good. Young Wei Koo or Rodrigo Blankenship, man. It's one of those things where which offense is going to break down in the red zone more. Matt Ryan's more likely of an implosion game than the Colts offense, so I probably say Blankenship. Daniel, all right, Daniel, do you keep A.J. Brown or Corey Davis starting or switch one out for Robert Woods? Corey Davis in the games where Derrick Henry goes off, he doesn't get many targets. He's had 2-3 target games in the last 3 weeks, and my guess is Henry runs it all over Detroit, but A.J. still gets his targets. So I'm going to sit Corey Davis or Woods here. Jeff Wilson, AB, or DeAndre Washington. You know what? Jeff Wilson has floor and ceiling. He'll get half the carries. He's fine there. You're welcome, Hugo. Ramon, all right, man. Jeff Wilson, AB, or Washington can just answer that one as well. So Jeff Wilson, I think, has a floor, makes him safe for you. He also has enough ceiling where he can come through. I think that's where you're going to roll here. Tim, same question. We got the same question. It's good. I like that. But yes, definitely Jeff Wilson here, I think. All right, let's see what else we got here. Kevin, Kiki, or Rashard Higgins. You know what? I think there's a world where Cleveland runs the ball heavy. I do like that Higgins won't have to see James Bradbury. His side of the field is he would probably see Bradbury a lot, but he doesn't. Kiki played very well against this defense a couple of weeks ago. A couple of years ago in the playoffs, he had a big game against them. There's a little bit of a history here with Watson at quarterback. It's more likely that Houston has to throw the ball than Cleveland does because Cleveland may run, get a lead against the Giants with Colt McCoy. So I think Kiki is safer and he has equivalent upside. So I go Kiki. Kiki, Higgins, or Antonio Brown. The Brown is just so tough to call because we don't know if he's targets or not. Now, what I like is the right corner, the left corner. He plays right receiver, left corner, Darqueze Dennard's out. I think Brown, Kiki has more, believe this or not, Kiki has more floor because this matchup, he'll get a number of targets. Kiki could hit 100 yards, though. I'm going to say Kiki here because Antonio Brown just has not shown to be a reliable part of the Bucs offense. And I do think that Godwin and Evans are above him in the pecking order and Gronk's there as well. And in the red zone, I don't think he's looking for AB. So if you have a gut feel, go with it. But I'm going to say Kiki's probably your best play. You're welcome, Moneybags. Answer that one already. Miles Sanders, Mr. Miles, Sanders, Montgomery, Thielen, half PPR, pick one. Montgomery has finally, for the first time in 4 weeks, he has a matchup that is not bottom feeder. He's had 3 bottom feeder matchups in a row. He's taking advantage of it. I don't think he's a good enough running back to take advantage of a middling defense, so he's out. With Thielen, the problem is if Dalvin Cook goes off, he might see 4 targets. Thielen has enormous upside. But Sanders is in the same boat. Sanders with Hurts at quarterback. He played 80% snap share last week, which is better than the 60% he had seen. And Hurts opens up running lanes because of his mobility. So they both have enormous upside. But I think Sanders has a higher floor because, again, if Cook goes off, Thielen might see 4 targets. So because of that, I prefer Sanders. If you have a gut feel, go with it. You're welcome, Ramon. Answer that. Let me go back here a minute now. All right, Robert, you got Kupp or Higgins? Again, I think both teams could lean on their rushing attack. And so they both might not need to throw a lot. I think that Jarvis Landry sees a majority of the targets. Higgins is going to be very dicey on that. He has a lot of downside. I think Kupp is a more stable option. I don't think neither of them are going to go off this week. But I think Kupp could break a long play more likely than Higgins. We could see Peoples-Jones go off instead of Higgins. So I think Kupp being as 2 receivers they primarily used. So that's what I'm going to say there. Oh, I actually called that one. It was I thought you meant. That's funny. Johnny Football, Rams -17. Yeah, you hate laying that many points. But I don't know if this carries over. but it looked to me as if the Jets checked out finally last week. They're 0 whatever, but they hadn't checked out. It looked like they checked out last week. So I do think with their defense, I think that'd be a reasonable play. I just hate laying that many points because something could go wrong. But it's a fair line to play. All right, let's see what else we got here. Then go back to YouTube here. Let's see, we got Kenyon Drake or Ty at flex. Drake has the higher floor because if Jonathan Taylor runs all over Houston, Ty might not see a lot of targets, but I don't think Drake has a lot of ceiling here because Philly's good against the run. So you need a ceiling game, you go Ty. If you want to save 10 points, it's Drake. If you got to go for 20, Ty is more likely to hit that than Drake, but Ty has more floor. He could go lower. That's what you got to look at there. David Johnson or Wayne Goldman. To me, it's going to be David Johnson. Cleveland, although last week was Baltimore, I get whatever happened there. But I do think David Johnson has a stable base of touches. He's not going to get, Goldman gets vultured by Alfred Morris. But with Duke Johnson out, David Johnson's the runner and the receiver. So I'm going to say David Johnson. Tyler, you said somebody else, and there's somebody else. Cooks or Kiki Kute. You know what? Cooks he missed a quarter of the last meeting against Indy, getting checked for concussion. Cooks will be their alpha receiver. So I'm going to say Cooks over Kute there. And you lost Michael Thomas. Ryan Cook, I got you there. People are just chatting away there. Diggs, Thielen, Cooks. Is that a core play for today? Well, it is a good core, but if Dalvin Cooks, so yeah, you had Diggs already, so you're fine there. Thielen, just as long as Dalvin Cook doesn't go off, which he might, but it is a good core. It's an excellent core. Randy, high ceiling, running back, or receiver dart throw that no one is thinking of. Let me just look at my DFS list here. I tell you what, again, I don't know if he probably owned, but Sammy Watkins probably owned, but if he wasn't, I think Sammy Watkins could have one of these games that come out of nowhere. I think that the tight ends for either Gerald Everett's seen more targets than Higbee, but he's a tight end. That's not on your radar there. Or Smith's a tight end. That's not what you're looking for there. Christian Kirk if Christian Kirk was dropped, which he may have been, he is in good line for a good game. Randy, if you give me some specifics, during the stream, it's too tough for me to come up with that. It's just too much going on with all these games. Let's see what we got here. Oh man, it's killing me. The fuck, man. I killed out here for whatever reason. The phone rang and somehow it killed my stream. So I have time for a couple questions before I get off here. So let's see. Let's go back to YouTube here while I'm waiting and see what else we got here. Questions there. Montgomery, DeAndre Swift, or Miles Sanders. So I think Swift has your highest floor. We're going to rule out Montgomery. Montgomery had 3 bottom feeder defenses. He did what he needed to do, but his snap share wasn't as high as it was earlier in the season. I think he struggles against Minnesota, who's a middle-of-the-road defense. Sanders could struggle, but that mobile quarterback gives him running lanes he hadn't seen before, and he finally went back to an 80% snap share from 60, so we're good there. Let's see there. Montgomery, well, we answered that one already, and should I trade for Ayuk and Cam Akers? I'm not sure what that is. All right. If anybody had questions on Twitter, you have to repost those because I lost the stream. Cook, you mean Cook, Jared Cook or Dallas Goedert? So Goddard saw 6 targets last week. Cook is so up and down. Goddard is a more stable part of the offense. So Goddard has the safer floor, but I don't know how much ceiling he has with Hurts. So if you need a 15-point game out of your tight end, Cooks could get a 0. He could get you a 50. He could find the end zone once or twice. Goddard is your safer play. If you need a base of 6 to 8 points, he's your play. So I got to look at that. Johnny, Kute or Godwin? You know what? I got to go with Godwin here. It's just Kute is in a decent spot. Godwin, we know his targets have been all over the board. but he's a staple part of that offense, and they're playing Atlanta. That game is likely to shoot out. I would feel terrible ending my season if Godwin had his game and he was on the bench. I think that's how I look at that. Jeff, you got Pittman or Cole. Pittman's targets have gone through the floor. Is it possibly catches a slant for 80 and a touchdown? Yes. Keelan Cole typically sees 5+ targets in most games, and Pittman's been down to 3 the last couple of games. So I think we got to go with Keelan Cole there. And if they run the ball, they might not need to use him. Well, sir, I probably didn't get it because I lost the stream. So if you got a question, just go ahead and throw it up. I got a couple minutes here. Gus, Edwards-Helaire, or Ahmed? The Saints defense is very tough. They're number 1 against the run, but I think that they're going to have to worry about the passing game. They're going to have to, I think Clyde's uses a receiver a bit today. I think in a potential high-scoring game, he's the way to go. Gus is playing the 30% role in the offense. When he's in, he does get carries. But I think you got to go Edwards-Helaire, Ahmed. I think that the Patriots are trying to take away the run and try to make the young quarterback Tua beat him. So I think I'm going to go Edwards-Helaire there. Arizona or Cleveland defense? That's a tough one. The mobile quarterback, I think, is going to make Arizona struggle. They blitz a lot, but I think that's not going to help them here. I'm going to say Cleveland here. Their pass rush is good. Pick 2 on those. I think Dobbins is the guy here. So, I think Edwards-Helaire and Ahmed. I think Gus is going to get 8 to 10 carries, and if he doesn't find the end zone, he's going to be painful there. I think Ahmed has a higher floor. I think Gus could find the end zone, has a higher ceiling. So that's what I'd say there. Ahmed's going to get you 8 points, probably, maybe 10. If you need 12, 14, Gus would find the end zone more likely than Ahmed would. So that's what I base it on. Yes, Jeff. Merry Christmas. You're welcome, my friend. All right, let's see what else we got here. Any questions in here? Chubb or Akers? Yeah, that's a tough one. Wyatt Teller's out, best run blocking lineman that they have. Riley and the Giants have been very good against the run. Akers, he's probably going to see 20, 25 carries. Chubb will potentially lose some work. Here's what I'm going to say. Akers is a much safer floor this week. I think his floor is 80 yards. But Nick Chubb, my God, Nick Chubb could run any team, anytime. He could run for 182 touchdowns. So I think that if my fantasy season is on the line and I've got Nick Chubb, I think I can't sit Nick Chubb because he's a superstar. Akers, such a small sample size, right? So I think it's very tough. Akers safer floor, but Chubb's floor is good too. I don't think I can sit Nick Chubb in a playoff game. That's all I probably would say there. Good there. All right, let's see what else we got here. All right, any other questions on Twitter? Because I'm going to be out of here in a second, I think, here. And all those, you know what? I think Lynn Bowden gets taken away by Bill Belichick. He saw him last week, and there's nobody else for them to go to. So I think they easily take him out. The cornerbacks are very good for New England, and I don't think dealing with Lynn Bowden is any shakes for them. Tyler Boyd is not in a good spot, third-string quarterback, but he'll get targets. So I'm going to say Tyler Boyd there. Trust your gut. If you got a gut feel, go with it. Avi, let's see. Thielen, Woods, Jefferson. I think I kind of answered this one before somebody else. I'm proud because I don't want Dalvin Cook probably does well against the Bears. And I don't see 2 receivers going off. Justin Jefferson primarily plays on the side away from Fuller. So I think that's the Bears' best corner. I would go with Jefferson and Woods here. But if you got a gut feel, go with it. And all right, YouTube, I'm out. Thanks, guys.